Hello guys, this is Dr. Possibility from Excel Academy. Kindly make sure that you subscribe and register with Excel Academy. In this class, I'm just going to explain on polynomials, and of which this is my mathematics lecture class. This simply means that I am going to explain everything step by step. Please make sure that you subscribe and register with Excel Academy. Let's quickly look at the definition of what a polynomial is. So let's quickly look at the definition of what a polynomial function is. So we'll look at the definition of what a polynomial function is. So one thing that you need to understand is that this topic doesn't miss in your final exams. So you need to make sure that you are able to understand each and every step of this particular topic. So please make sure that you follow up. So a polynomial function is a function which is expressed in the following form. So it's just a function which is expressed in the following form. So please make sure that you are able to differentiate a quadratic function from a polynomial. So let's quickly look at how a polynomial function looks like. So if a function is f of x and we say that this function is a polynomial function, so what will happen is that this polynomial function will be written in a way or formula which is an, of which we know that an is the coefficient of the first degree or the highest degree, and then you have x to the power n, and then from there you can have plus a and then n minus 1 and then x to the power n minus 1, and then you can say plus dot dot dot, and then lastly you have a constant number which is just a c. So this is the form in which a polynomial is normally denoted. This is the form in which a polynomial is denoted. So in this case, you need to understand where n is a positive integer, is a positive integer or a positive number, and an are what? Are real numbers, are simply real numbers. So this simply means that they can be positive or negative numbers. Then one thing you need to understand that n, which is here, is simply the degree of the polynomial. So n is the degree of the polynomial. N is the degree of the polynomial. So the degree of a polynomial, it's normally differs. A degree of a polynomial, it normally differs. It can be 100, it can be 5, it can be 6, it can be 4, but mostly for your course, it's the maximum I've seen is up to what? Up to 7. So even a linear function can also be said to be a polynomial. Even a linear function can also be said to be a polynomial. So let me quickly denote some polynomials which you can have interest in. So the first one which we can look at is, let's say you have f of x, is simply equal to, let's say you have a 1 and then x, and then you have plus c a 0. Okay, so in this case the highest degree is simply what? Is 1. So in this case the highest degree is simply what? 1, because this a1, that simply means that on top there we are going to have what? 1. So in this case the highest degree is what? Is 1. Okay, so this can be written as is a polynomial of degree 1. Is a polynomial of degree 1, meaning the highest degree in this particular polynomial is simply what? 1. Let me give another example of interest. Let's say we have f of x. Let's say we have f of x is simply equal to, let's say in this case we have a2 and then x to the power 2, a2 x to the power 2, then plus a1 x to the power 1. If I want, I cannot put a 1 there, then plus a0. So in this case, this is a polynomial of degree, 2. So the highest degree in this case is simply what? 2. So it's a polynomial of degree 2. Okay, so this is the one which you guys are normally familiar with, whereby you have 2x squared, you have 3x squared. So whatever the polynomial is, whatever it is, if it is in that form, then the highest degree is simply what? 2. So let me quickly give another one which you can have interest in. The other one, let's say I have f of x. Let's say I have f of x is simply a3 and then x to the power 3, and then you have plus a2 x to the power 2, and then you have plus a1 x to the power 1, and then you have plus a0. So remember, a0 can just be written as a c, because a0 is simply what? A constant value. So this is just a constant value. At this point I had to write a c because a c is the one which you guys are familiar with. So from here, what you have to understand is that this is a polynomial of degree 3, is a polynomial of degree 3. This is just a polynomial of degree 3, because the highest degree in this case is simply what? Is simply 3. So there are so many polynomials you can talk about, but I'll just stick to these 3 examples. Now, the constant value of a polynomial, which is a0, okay, the constant value of a polynomial, which is simply a0 of a polynomial, which we are saying a0 is the same as what? Is the same as c. Same as c, which is a constant. So this one is just a a constant, so it's the same as it's a constant number. So that's what you have to understand. Now, after understanding this concept, after knowing how a polynomial looks like, I can give some few examples on how polynomials can be written. I'm sure you guys, when I'm just writing these letters and numbers, most of you cannot get a thing. So I'll start with the first one, which is a 1x to the power 1. So a good example I can pick for this one, I can say f of x is simply equal to, let's say I say 2x plus c1. So this is a polynomial of degree 1. Of course, this is just a linear function which everyone is aware of. Another one which you can talk about is the second one, which I've highlighted in 0. So f of x, let's say I write this one to be, let's say 4x squared plus 1 plus, let's say 2x and then plus 1. So this one can just be the same as the one which I have written in red. The example for the third one, it can simply be f of x is simply equal to, let's say I say 5x cubed and then plus, let's say 4x squared, and then I can say plus 2x plus 1. So all these which I have written here, they are all polynomials. The only difference is that they have different degrees. Like the first one has a degree of 1, the other one has a degree of 2, and then the other one has the degree of 3. So there are so many examples you can talk about. You can talk about a degree of 4, a degree of 5, and so on and so forth. So that's what I was just trying to define there. So ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions at this particular point? Killian, do you have a question? Okay, it's like we don't have questions. It's like people don't have questions. So one other thing that you need to understand is that polynomials, okay, polynomial functions can be added, okay, can be added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided. So polynomial functions, just like the normal functions, they can be what? They can be added, subtracted, and also what? Divided. So I'll start with the first one. So the first one is whereby I'll look at, let's say we have two polynomials. So we can have two polynomials. The first one can be p of x, and we can also have q of x. So let's state that p of x and q of x are polynomials. Let's state that p of x let's say that P of X and the Q of X are what? Are polynomials. Are polynomials. So if we state that P of X and Q of X are polynomial functions, so if these guys are polynomial functions, we can simply add them, subtract them, or divide the D by. So I'll start with the first one, which is what? The addition and subtraction. I'll start with the first one, which is the addition and the subtraction. So here you just have to make sure that you are able to check the degrees and you are able to correct the like terms. So since we are saying addition, so what we can say is P plus or minus Q and then E of X. So if we have that, let's say is P plus or minus Q of X is a polynomial, of less than or equal to the maximum number of what? Of powers or degree. So is a polynomial of, let's say, of degree m and n respectively. So what I'm just trying to illustrate is that these guys, let's say P is having a certain degree and also Q is having a certain degree. So if these two are having a certain degree, which we don't know the degrees, so we have P having a degree of m and the Q is having a degree of n. So let me give an example of how you can simply add and subtract these polynomials. So if you say let P of X be equal to, let's say, X cubed minus 2x squared, and then you say plus 5x plus 1 and Q of X be equal to, and Q of X be equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4. Okay, so like I have stated, P has a certain degree and the Q has a certain degree. So in that case, we have also been given this example where we are saying let P of X be equal to x cubed. So the highest degree of P in this case, which we are treating to be m, is what? X cubed. So the highest degree is x cubed. So according to this statement, you don't really need to bother about m, about n. What you are much interested in knowing what is the degree of P and what is the degree of Q. So the highest degree of P, it is 3, and the degree of Q is what? 2. So let's quickly look at the questions. Find, and then we have been given, let's say, A, P of X minus Q of X, P of X minus Q of X, and then B, you have let's say P of X plus Q of X. Do not overlook these two examples. Do not overlook these two examples. They are very, very important somewhere, especially when we solve our mathematics paper, which we are going to do in the next class. So let's quickly look at the solution. So here we have been given, we need to subtract px minus qx, px minus qx. So what you just have to do here, you just have to write x cubed, which is p, okay? You write x cubed minus 2x squared, and then plus 5x, and then plus 1. Now here it is a minus, so you need to be a little bit careful when writing the minus. So you're going to put minus, you would say brackets, because we are subtracting q, and then you are going to put q of x inside there, which will be like that, and then minus 4 like that. So once you work out such equation, such equation using that approach, so your only job here is to say 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x plus 1, and then you're going to multiply this negative by everything there, so it's going to be negative x squared minus 3x minus 4. At that particular stage, you don't minus there, it will be plus, because negative times x squared, it is negative x squared. Negative times positive 3x is simply negative 3x, and then negative times negative 4 is simply going to give you positive 4. When you have that guy, your next job is just to collect like terms. So if you look at x cubed is alone, so you write x cubed, which is alone there, and then you have the other guys, which is this guy here and that guy there, will come together. So you're going to have negative 2x squared minus x squared. Remember not to change the sign, this guy has to go with its sign. And then after you are done with the second degree, you go with the first degree, which is plus 5x and then minus 3x. And then what you're going to do, you're going to get the constant values. You're going to get the constant values. There you have positive 1 and the positive 4. So these are the like terms. If you look at the like terms, I haven't changed anything on them. I haven't changed the signs. So after you have the like terms, you are now going to work out this question without having any difficulties. This one is alone, it will be x cubed, and then you say negative 2x squared minus x squared, it is negative 3x squared. And then you have 5x minus 3x, it's plus 2x, and then 1 plus 4 is simply what? 5. So this is your final answer. Let's quickly look at B, and then I'll allow you guys to ask questions. So I have px plus qx, I have px plus qx. So for this guy, you don't even need to worry. You are going to write px, which is simply x cubed, minus 2x squared plus 5x plus 1. If you look at the second example, there is a plus. Plus cannot affect anything there. So I'll just write the guys for q like that, because the plus will not affect anything. So I'll say plus 3x and then minus 4. With that being done, we'll collect the like terms. So for this one, I won't group them the way I did. So we'll say x cubed will come alone. X cubed will come alone the way it is. So you have x cubed there. The negative 2x and x squared is going to be negative x squared, and then 5x plus 3x is going to give you 8x, and then you have 1 minus 4, it's negative 3, and this is your final answer. So this simply means that polynomials can be added and subtracted, just like we have observed in this particular example. So at this moment, I'll allow you guys to ask questions. Please feel free to raise your hand, and also feel free to unmute yourself. Any question? You are free to ask questions. Yes, Esther, what's your question?
Sir, in the first example, why did you multiply a negative?
It's a minus here. There is a minus there, so this minus you multiply it by q of x. We are subtracting. Is that okay?
Oh, so when you are subtracting is to multiply.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, let's move on and look at the second one, which is multiplication. So let's quickly look at what we have for multiplication. Ladies and gentlemen, these things are the basics. You use the basics in mathematics. You use the basics to solve a question. Okay, so in this case, we can say P dot Q, of which dots, I know you are all aware, dot in this case simply stand for multiplication, is a polynomial, of degree, m and n respectively, because we don't know the degree of these guys. So we are now going to say examples. So let's quickly look at the example. So in this example, we can simply say, let p of x be equal to, x squared plus 3 minus 1, and let q of x be equal to, 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3. Okay, so if you observe, in this case, the x squared on q of x is not there, but that should not worry you. Now the question is find p dot q and then of x. So I'll now write my solution. Let me quickly write my solution. So the solution will be p dot q of x is the same as p of x multiplied by q of what? Of x. After you understand such a statement, you are going to get this guy is the same as x squared plus 3 minus 1 close bracket, and then you are going to multiply it with the colleague, which is 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3 close bracket. So once you have this in mind, you need to understand that we are going to multiply everything in white by everything in yellow. We are going to multiply everything in white by everything in yellow. So this simply means that we are now going to have a situation where we are going to say x squared open bracket 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3 close bracket. Then you are going to say plus, remember this has to be 3x, sorry, there this is 3x and also there 3x. I made a mistake there. So there that 3x will also be open. You multiply it by everything, 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3 close bracket, and then you're going to say minus 1 there, open bracket, you say 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3 close brackets. Once you do that, your next part is just for you to make sure that you multiply everything there. So if we were to multiply, what are we going to have? So what we are going to have is x squared times 2x cubed. It is just 2x to the power 5. You just add the indices or the exponents. Then x squared times 5x is just going to give you 5x cubed. Then x squared plus 3 is going to give you, times 3 is going to give you 3x squared. Then you say plus 3x times 2x square cubed is going to give you 6x to the power 4. And then you say 3x times 5x is going to give you 15x squared. Then 3x times 3, it's going to give you 9x. You move on. Negative x times 2x cubed, it's going to give you 2x cubed, negative 2x cubed. Negative 1 times 5x going to give you negative 5x, and then negative 1 times 3, it's going to give you negative 3. After you do that, your next job is just to collect the like terms. Your next job is just to collect the like terms. So if you look at the like terms, one thing that you need to understand is that 2x to the power 5 is just alone there. So it's going to be 2x to the power 5 the way it is alone. Then 5x cubed, is it having a friend? Yes, it is having a friend. So that one and that one, they are together. So 5x cubed, 5x cubed, do we have another cubed here? So let me just quickly look at cubed. Okay, cubed is, there are 2, but we have to the power 4. We have to the power 4 and it is alone. So I'm going to write the one which is to the power 4, which is 6x to the power 4. Then cubed, they are just 2, so I'll say 5x cubed minus 2x cubed, it is plus 3x cubed. Okay, I'm done with the cubed. Then I'll go with the squared. It is there, and that one there. So if you look at the squared, it is 3x squared plus 15x squared. It's going to give you 18x squared. Then you have the other guys, which are 9x and the negative 5x. So this will give you plus 4x. And then you have the last guy who is just alone, the constant. So the constant is just alone as the negative 3. And this is what is the final answer for this particular question. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, do we have a question at this particular point? So ladies and gentlemen, since we do not have questions, we can move on. We'll look at the third part, which is division. We'll look at the third part, which is division. Now, division, it is the one which normally summarize almost everything. Division is the one which normally summarize almost everything. Get me right on that. Why am I saying division is the one which is more like summarizing everything? One, division is giving you a roadmap to factorizing the polynomial. Division is giving you a roadmap to factorizing a polynomial. 3. The same division, once it helps you to know how to factorize a polynomial, it will help you to solve an equation involving a polynomial. Once this same division leads you to that point, it will finally lead you to a point where you now have to know how to sketch the graph of a polynomial. Then the journey of polynomial will end there. But again, this journey will continue when you do factor and remainder theorem, and the topic polynomial gets concluded like that. It has been concluded through the understanding of division. Now, division, this same division is divided into two. We have long division, which we are going to learn now, and 2, we are going to learn synthetic division. We can't learn synthetic division now because of the fact that synthetic division depends on knowing how to find the zero roots. So those are the things that you need to understand. So let's move on. So in our case, we have to state that there are basically two methods. There are basically two methods of dividing. There are basically two methods of dividing a polynomial. There are basically two methods of dividing a polynomial. The first method is one synthetic division. Synthetic division. I hope my spelling is okay. Then the second one is long division. For now, we are not going to look at synthetic division, but we are going to look at long division. Okay, we'll look at long division. Synthetic division, we'll discuss it later on in the coming lecture class. So let's quickly look at the examples. This one I'll give 2 examples, then I'll call it a day. So using long division method, using long division method, find or divide, let's say we have p of x, which is equal to, this one will be my first example. Let me write that properly for you guys to be able to see. So this will be my first example, and my first example, I'll write it as follows. So I'll say p of x is simply equal to 2x to the power 4, 2x to the power 4 plus 4x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 2 by q of x, which is simply equal to q of x, which is simply equal to x squared plus 2x minus 3. I'll then write solution. So let me quickly work on this one. So since we are looking at the long division method, I will draw the usual long division thing, which we all know from secondary school. So this q of x will simply be written there. Q of x will simply be written there, which will be x squared minus plus 2x, then minus 3. And then the other guy, which is p of x, will be written inside 2x to the power 4, and then I'll put there plus, I'll say 4x cubed, and then minus 5x squared, and then I'll write plus 3x, and then I'll write minus 2. After I write that, I'll now be able to solve this particular question. So let me quickly get to business. Now, your eyes should be on this one first. Okay? Your eyes, your first eye. I'm sure you guys have the third eye. Your first eye should be on this guy first. Okay? This is where your first eye should be. So since you are looking at this one, you're going to say x squared into 2x to the power 4. X squared into 2x to the power 4. Your answer will be 2x to the power 2. So 2x to the power 2 times x squared. So after you do that, your eyes now should be on what is on top. So 2x squared times x squared is going to be 2x to the power 4. Then you say 2x squared times 2x is going to be plus 4x cubed. Okay, I'm sure you guys are able to follow that. Then 2x squared minus times 3 times 3, it's going to be negative 6x squared. Okay, then what you're going to do is you are going to draw a line like that. So when you draw a line like that, this line will help you now to subtract. So let's quickly subtract. You say 2x to the power 4 minus 2x to the power 4 is 0. Okay, fine, nothing more. Then 4x cubed minus 4x cubed is 0 again. That is okay on our side, nothing to worry about. Negative 5x squared minus negative 6x squared, this will be a plus. So you have negative 5x squared plus 6x squared, it will be what? X squared. Then you're going to bring down this one, which is plus 3x, and then you also bring down that one, which is negative 2. Okay, I've brought down those guys. They don't have anything to subtract them with, so they'll come down, and that one will also come down. When they come down, what you are supposed to do is to go back to your i's again. So you go back to your I there. X squared into x squared is simply 1. So you're going to write plus 1 on top there. Then 1 times everything. So that will be x squared plus c 2x minus c 3. Okay. So when you have that, you can draw a line once again. Then you subtract like we did before. So you subtract there like that. X squared minus x squared is 0. 3x minus 2x, it is surely x. And then negative 2 plus 3 is surely what? 1. Okay. So with this in mind, we need to understand that if you get x squared and you divide it into x, it's not going to enter, isn't it? You're going to have something like 1 over x, right? If you say x divided by x squared, it's going to give you what? 1 over x. So you do not have to write 1 over x there. Okay. So in short, your mathematics has ended here. Now, let's quickly label the parts which we have found. The parts which we have found is that the yellow part here, in mathematics, this guy is known as the what? The divisor. Okay, this is the divisor. Then you have on top there in white, the guy on top in white there is what? The quotient, which is normally your answer, the quotient. Okay, then you have the other guy again in blue inside. This is known as the what? The dividend. Okay, this is known as the dividend. So in case my pronunciation is bad, please don't mind. So this is known as the dividend. Then there is the other guy who most people don't give attention, who is the remainder. So you have this last guy here which remained, and this guy is known as what? The remainder. So this is a remainder. So with this known, you have the divisor, you have the quotient, dividend, and also the what? The remainder. Therefore, your answer, when you work out that, this is how you are supposed to write it. Please know how to write it. It's very important. Know how to write it. So you're going to start with the quotient. So you're going to write your answer, which is the quotient is 2x squared plus c 1. Okay, then you are going to put a plus there. You're going to put a plus there. After you write the plus, it's because we are writing that plus because we have the remainder. You are going to write the remainder next, which is x plus c 1, and then over. You are now going to write down the what? The divisor, which is the yellow guy. So you write x squared plus 2x minus 3. Then you are done. So that's how you're supposed to express your answer like that. There is a plus here. It's different from how you do the normal fraction. It's different from how you do your normal fractions. For example, let's say 3 over 2, you're going to write it as 1 remainder 1 over 2. That's why I've emphasized on putting a plus there. Okay, it's different. Most of you might write that expression without a plus, then you are wrong. It's totally different from how you write the numbers, because this is a function. So this is how easily you can divide the polynomials. So from here, I'm going to allow you guys, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, since we don't have questions, that means that it's clear. So since my first example is clear, I'll give you my second example as your assignment. So my second example will be your assignment. So let's say p of x is equal to, let's say you have 12x cubed minus 6x squared plus 10 by let's say q of x is equal to 2x plus 1. So I'll give you that as an assignment, since you guys you don't have questions. So that will be your assignment. Please submit the assignment before tomorrow, meaning before 24 hours. So if you have any questions, feel free to inbox me on my line, which for those guys who you watch again on YouTube, you can see the description. I'll put the line. So that's it for today. Have a blessed night.